Welcome, everybody, back to Friar Talk. I hope your days are going well. We're recording this after, believe it or not, an actual Padres victory on Tuesday night, a grand slam. There's still not a ton of hope. 5.5 games out of the wild card spot. Isaac's not with us today. He's going to the game. But for today's episode, we're going to be talking about Juan Soto contract rumors. It was recently kind of talked about that from Hector Gomez that Juan Soto and a Padres extension is pretty likely. It could happen. I'm not trying to say it's like a lock or anything like that, but it's been talked about and both sides want to work something out. So we're going to be talking about that today. However, before we get into it, I shaved. And a lot of people in the comments had been saying, Matt, you need to shave. You have the Matt Carpenter, Trent Grisham curse. So I've done it. And if the Padres go on a win streak, I want all the credit. I already told Chase right now. Chase is going to be organizing a parade in my name if that happens, similar to the 2021 there. So if it goes down, you guys know who to credit with the Padres run. Don't credit the organization or the players, just me for that one, okay? But no, in all seriousness, we're going to talk about Juan Soto. So Juan Soto basically I think it was like 2 weeks ago, he came out and had a statement just kind of saying that he loves San Diego. He really likes it here and that he is potentially interested in having a future in San Diego. So that happened. And then there was some rumors like, yeah, the Padres want to bring him back. They want to extend him. And then Hector Gomez basically came out a couple days back and just said like, yeah, they want to keep him. Both sides want a deal. Juan Soto's interested in a contract. So there's a lot of rumors about it. I don't know if it would happen this offseason. I don't know if it's when he goes and hits the open market. But either way, the Padres are 100% going to be players to keep Juan Soto in a Padres uniform. And let's say that happens. They end up working something out. The big question is, what is the contract going to look like? And we kind of looked at some projected value stuff like that. My guess is that Juan Soto is going to get $500 million. And the deal will be between 12 to 14 years. That's what it seems like is going to be the case. That's like roughly around like 35, 36 million AAV. It's a lot of money. So Chase, I give all the background with the rumors and potentially what that deal would look like. What are your thoughts on that going down? And like, what would your immediate takeaway be if that is the contract and he stays in San Diego?
I'm not opposed to it. Like, I love Juan Soto. He's a great player. One of the best bats in the MLB. He's doing his thing this year. He's getting unnecessary hate for no reason this year. He has over a 900 OPS. He's been the best hitter on the Padres. The only other guy that is somewhat close to him is Kim. We've had a couple guys with some down years, but you look at it and you go, this is going to be, if he signed a $500 million year, it's like 35.67-ish million dollars a year. And you just look at the holes that the Padres have right now and you go, is this the right move? And only time can tell. I mean, it also depends on who your front office is. Like, there's a lot of things that need to happen for this to be like, it's going to be a great signing. Like, he's going to be a great player. He's going to do Juan Soto things on the Padres. The only question is it the best move for the Padres? Because you look at it and you go, well, AJ Peller's still in the front office. He obviously can't put a roster together. We've seen this. Kind of are dealing with the consequences of it right now. He's been known to give guys bigger contracts than maybe they deserve. Not saying he doesn't deserve his $500 million, but you look back to the Xander Bogaerts deal, maybe it's a luxury we can't afford right now. Maybe it is. And you look at who we have under our pitching rotation right now. We have the most expensive bullpen. We have a couple starters locked into some serious money. We're going to have to – we just extended Cronenworth. Are we going to want to extend Kim, which he has player options or mutual team options for the next 2 years, which is great. But if you want to lock him up long-term, you're going to have to give him a decent amount of money. You are somewhat lacking on starting pitching. You really don't have the greatest arms in the minor leagues for both starting and bullpen. You don't really have depth at DH, or you do now have catcher depth because of Gary and Luis Campusano, but you're going to have to pay one of them. Gary's proving that he's probably going to sign a decent contract too because he's had a revitalized year at the plate. And you're thinking, well, can the Padres develop their own talent? Or are we just going to continue trading away for high-end guys that we can't afford? So it's no matter what, Juan Soto is going to do Juan Soto things. It doesn't matter where he's going. He's going to get that contract somewhere. Is it in the Padres' best interest? That's the question.
Yeah, and I think that's absolutely right. And it's I think only time's going to tell with that. I also just want to say if the Padres don't keep Juan Soto because they signed Xander Bogaerts, oh my God, that is going to look like a disaster of a contract. Assuming Xander Bogaerts doesn't produce more than he has now. And like I know people are like, well, yeah, he probably is going to bounce back. Yeah, except for Xander Bogaerts splits home and away from when he was in Boston are scary. They're really scary. Like he's producing worse than he did like his away splits in Boston, but not that much worse. He was not an 800 OPS guy away from Fenway. So that's not like that's pretty fucking scary, man. Like I'm sorry, but that is like something that I didn't talk about, we didn't talk about, but it's something that you're like, okay, like what's the odds that, going from Fenway Park to like least friendly hitters park in the league? Like what's that going to do to a guy? And we've seen that it's been bad. So you bring up the depth problems, something interesting, and we're not going to get in this today, but we'll probably get in this, in the next couple of weeks or something, and we'll definitely end up discussing it in probably Sunday's live stream too. But the Padres farm system just got ranked the 9th best farm system by MLB Pipeline. Now the thing is, like you said, Chase, there's not that much like MLB ready depth. So that's the big question: is like how many of these guys can you replace? Is Lugo going to be here? Is Waka going to be here? Is Snell going to be here next year? Are those guys here? Because if they're not, they need to go sign players. Are you going to keep Josh Hader? I don't know. There's a lot of question marks in regards to that. And maybe that'll get answered this offseason. Maybe they keep Juan Soto, they sign him to a big deal, and then, a couple of those guys walk and they go a different route for starting pitching, which I don't hate that move, but it is a big question mark to see what happens. And it is just interesting the way that they've allocated their resources. They don't have the depth. They don't develop guys. But at the same time, that's almost like, and tell me what you're thinking, but like, it's almost like, well, then you kind of have to do this because what else are you going to do because you don't develop anyone, which is a whole nother issue. It's a much bigger issue, but I do think that's like it's a weird way to look at it, but it's like, I mean, it's reality of the situation. So I don't know. I would like Juan Soto to be here. I think it's a great deal. I don't think the discussion is like, do you want Juan Soto to be a Padre? Yes, we want Juan Soto to be a Padre, but it's what's the best way to make the Padres better long term? And I think that's the big question. I don't know if they don't make the playoffs, I don't know if AJ Preller will stay here. I would guess that he will. I don't think that's the right move. But this next kind of run of prospects that are like 19 years old, 18, 19, 20 years old, like super young group of prospects, if the Padres are not able to develop those guys, like the last 2 rounds of prospects, they weren't able to really do much with, it's going to be hard to have a ton of faith in the organization, even when they're shelling out massive contracts. So I think there's underlining problems, but I think like in a way you have to kind of remove Juan Soto from those issues and just be like, all right, like, is it worth it just in a nutshell? Because I think you kind of have to. I don't know. Maybe that's a bad way to look at it, but that's just kind of my thoughts like currently on the Juan Soto stuff. But I certainly hope they sign him. I think if you get him 14 years, 500 million, I think having him and Fernando and Manny here is a really cool thing that we have never seen with this team. Like having all of their future in those 3 guys. I think I would really like that. But Chase, any final thoughts on Soto?
You pretty much nailed it. Like, I think it really depends on what the front office looks like after this offseason or at the beginning of the offseason, towards the end of the offseason. You're going to offer him his contract. He's probably, I think Borat said, he's going to hit the open market. He's going to test the market. He's going to see who gives him the most money, which basically there is no team that wouldn't want Juan Soto other than maybe the A's because the A's are cheap bastards. But is it the best thing for the Padres? time will tell. The front office right now is the biggest problem. They don't have enough money in development of their players. And if you can't develop them, you do what AJ Preller does. You just trade them away, and you see that we have holes every single time. It's because of it, because you trade all your talent away and you don't have any other talent to replace the talent leaving or to bring up in case of emergencies. Like, realistically, we shouldn't have had to trade for Rich Hill. I mean, my goodness, that guy has had his 2 shortest outings in his career on the Padres and 2 guaranteed losses. And we've had Pedro Avila come up and actually look really, really great. Why has Pedro Avila not gotten the nod over Ryan Weathers? And Weathers continue to crap the bed basically every time. And Pedro Avila is showing he should have been the guy at least to get one of those call-ups. I mean, there's just so many flaws within the organization itself that anytime you look at a major contract signing, you think, yeah, it's a great player and he's going to be here a long time, but are we going to be able to do anything with him?
No, it's true. I feel like this is sad. I feel like a Juan Soto contract rumor should be like, Juan Soto, he's going to stay, man. He's going to stay. Let's get a hype. And we're like, yeah, but there's, oh God, I don't know. It's just like the anxiety of talking about the Padres right now, just because it's like, man, like this is rough. And like I said, hopefully me shaving it turns it around. But I don't know if we can bank on that. Our last episode is basically the season is over. And then they've went 1 of 2. I mean, they had the grand slam. All you can hope is that the baseball gods were just waiting for the Padres to hit a grand slam and everything's going to turn on. I don't have much faith that that's the case, but that's the hope. I mean, I'll continue to hold out hope. I'm going to like 8 or 10 games for the rest of the year. I don't want to be watching meaningless baseball. I've watched too much meaningless baseball in my life, man. That's all I want to see. So, but yeah, I think that's going to do it. We got a game here, Orioles game tonight to kind of close out the series. Then a 4-game series against the Diamondbacks. Then is it the Brewers? No, then it's the Marlins. Then it's the Brewers. Then it's 4-game series against the Giants. Then it's a 3-game series against the Phillies. We're going to know if this team's in the race at the end of that. I think that's September 6th or 7th is that day. We will know where the Padres are. The season will be like really over or they'll be in the thick of it. And then after that, they'll have back-to-back series against the Dodgers and the Astros. Isn't that fun? But like we're going to learn a lot in the next couple of weeks. This is the time. This is the deciding factor right here. But yeah, what do you guys think about Juan Soto? What do you think about this team? What are your thoughts right now? We're going to have an episode out tomorrow on Mr. Bob Melvin and whether he's to blame for this disaster of a season up to this point. But we're going to talk about Bob Melvin. So that'll be the next one tomorrow. But let us know what you think of this Juan Soto situation. And what do you know? Like, what would you sign him for? Would you give him 14 years, $500 million? I mean, it's not our money. So I'm going to say, yeah, I would when it's Peter Seidler's money. But if you're the GM of the Padres, if you're AJ Preller, do you swing that deal? But I think that's going to do it. So we'll talk to y'all tomorrow. We'll break down the Bob Melvin situation, but hopefully the Padres win tonight. Hopefully these next couple of weeks are a massive turnaround because the funny thing is winning cures everything. And if the Padres start winning, the dialogue on the team will just be completely different. And I would much rather talk about it in a less depressing way moving forward. So that's going to do it. But we'll talk to y'all soon. Have a great night and go Padres.